Over the last 25 years, I've had the privilege of interviewing and highlighting some truly interesting people. Everyone who is anyone, both the famous and the infamous, from presidents and their first ladies to kings and queens, movie stars and pop stars, captains of industry, heads of state, sports personalities, innovative entrepreneurs, and some pretty fascinating everyday people. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Renée Edelman, a public relations and media expert from a family considered by many to be modern public relations industry pioneers. And I know your work and your firm's work very, very well, Renée, having worked with them with the American Heart Association for many, many years. You said that you are committed to helping clients accurately communicate their stories and take actions that improve society. What made you want to become involved in public relations?
Star, I am so pleased to be here. I grew up in the family business with my father, Dan Edelman, who is a pioneer of modern public relations, the father of marketing public relations. He created the first media tour with the Tony twins. And my mother, Ruth Edelman, who was by his side and was his secret weapon and helped bring clients to him and traveled with him. But I went with my father to clients meetings as young as 3 years old with Brunswick Bowling and to a golf outing. And they trained me. So, and I have two wonderful brothers, Richard and John, and we all work together. And now my nieces, generation three, are in the business.
Well, having just, as I said, I've had a chance to see so much of your work and experience it, from campaigns that I have worked on over the course of the years. But I'm just curious, a little inside baseball. How do you actually work with clients to help them tell their stories?
Well, it's so interesting because it used to be that most people in public relations came from journalism and that you needed to tell the news and the story. So you would interview clients much like you would if you were writing for a newspaper or on TV on the Today Show or The View and talk with them about their lives and what was interesting and newsworthy. And also if they were promoting a certain product or service. But today we tell clients that they not only have to say something, they have to do something. So one of our earlier and more successful campaigns has been Dove Real Beauty. This is in the 21st century, based on a study that said that in Germany that found that women were not identifying with the people in the ads and that they didn't themselves think of themselves as beautiful. So Dove has had a very successful campaign redefining the view of beauty, having the Dove Self-Esteem Foundation, and really helping young girls realize their power.
I've
And
I've seen that campaign, and it's one that really is striking immediately because I think from the viewing audience, there's always someone on the screen or on the print page that you can identify with. You can see yourself in the product or service.
right. And what we say to clients now is action drives trust and trust drives action. So it's all about trust. And Edelman had created in 2000 the trust barometer, measuring what people, decision makers, and Gen Z now, who they trust. And trust has been down. And today people trust more their employer than anybody else and people close to them.
How
Uh,
interesting is that?
yeah, doctors and experts are still trusted, but the news media and government and NGOs have to rebuild trust.
That's interesting. I don't know how all that's going to take place, but I'm also curious. I know, um, uh, uh, background wise, or I should say professional wise, you have a background as a writer. Do you think that skill set has been helpful in your career?
Yes, it's been invaluable. And my father started editing my copy when I was about 5 or 8. He would sit down with me and I'd be at his knee and he'd scribble and make edits. And so I followed him to Columbia Journalism School and, years later. But I really love telling stories and I did it first through photography. So photojournalism, and I love taking pictures and merging. You're in TV, so you understand telling stories through visuals.
It's so interesting that your background and your interests really feed to the kind of work that I think you were born to do based on your family affiliation.
Well, thank you. And I just want to say how much I appreciate John H. Johnson,
Yes.
who told me that he was training his daughter Linda to be in his business and take over Ebony and Jet and Fashion Fair Cosmetics. And, now Desiree Rogers has taken that brand, Fashion Fair, and is still going with it. But I believe that working with people you trust and taking opportunities that are right in front of you is a way to build your career. And it's all serendipity. You just raise your hand and see what's there and just go for it. My father said always raise your hand and take on new assignments.
I love that. I've always been raised with the concept of when preparation meets opportunity, there is nothing that you can't accomplish.
Right.
And you've been preparing for a very long time. You started to tell us a couple of the campaigns that are very easily identifiable, but what about some other interesting campaigns that you've been a part of?
Okay, well, I want to tell you a little about the company's work in recent years about, for example, CVS taking tobacco out of the stores. And that was really changing the world for people, their customers, and other retail stores who decided to do it too. Also, like REI, the outdoor athletics company, they told us they wanted to close the stores on Friday after Thanksgiving. So let their employees be outside and enjoy their families. So what I have been involved in early on in the internet days was working with clients like GeoCities, and even before I worked with Adobe to build the PDF. It was called Adobe Acrobat, and they had the standard printers, but then John Warnock said, we're going to create the same thing for electronic communications. And sure enough, we have the Adobe PDF file today. So I've been involved since before the internet on enterprise technology, and then watched the whole transition to consumer tech and social media. And now we are facing chat GPT.
Oh my goodness.
GPT, and what are we going to do with AI? So we all have to learn about that.
That actually is one of the top questions that consumers are asking right now: what role AI is going to play in our future, and to bring it more close to home, am I going to still have a job, or will AI take over?
No, it won't. You'll be here.
Answer. That's the quick answer. No, you probably won't.
Humans win over machines.
So, aside from your work, what else holds your interest? I know I enjoy philanthropy, and Edelman does a whole lot of work in that area. What about you?
Yes, I was trained always to give back. My father had a wonderful saying, there are three legs of the stool. So you have to do your work, you have to work on your body, and you have to work on your soul and be in part of the community. So I love to give back. I mentor young people. I have made work a lot the focus of my life. And so giving back and helping young people get jobs, be hired at Edelman and counsel them, and also working in nonprofits. I was on the board of the Children's Museum of Manhattan for 27 years, talking about literacy, and they have programs in homeless shelters. And so it was very rewarding. I still care about young people, and of course they're our future, but I'm involved in my synagogue, and also now a Lower East Side theater, Theater for the New City. And so I'm thrilled to be working. Now they're going to do summer theater outdoors in all 5 boroughs.
So you do have a little bit of a Renaissance woman air to you. So there's a bunch of things that pique your interest, including, I understand that you've taken on some archival roles in the past.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, well, first of all, I have a wonderful story about that. My name is Renée. Renée means reborn. It's Renaissance. because when I was born, I was a blue baby, and I was named after my dad's sister, little sister Harriet, who had died before there was penicillin when she was 10. And so my dad renamed me Reborn. But I have helped with the archives of the Edelman Museum. We now have a museum celebrating our 70th anniversary, which was October 1st, 2022. But we had a big party in a new location in the West Loop, and we chronicled 70 years of the company. And it all started with my father's early life, even writing when he was 5, sending notes to his parents under the door when he had mumps about what he wanted for dinner. And he always told us those stories. And then we found he kept all his World War II papers where he analyzed psychological, he was doing psychological warfare, analyzing German propaganda at night. And so that's all on our website. And we have a physical museum, which I'd love to show you in Chicago, but also maybe if you're there with Linda Johnson Rice, but also we are going to create a digital archive. So that will, I'm sure you will have some insights for me on that, but it's exciting to go back to the past and learn for the future.
Absolutely. Talk about a past, a present, and a future plan. And that leads me to this final question. Where do you see your career progressing from here?
Well, I'm very interested also. I have done diversity recruiting at HBCUs. I have gone to job fairs. I'm still very interested in that and making sure that young people have opportunities. I dream about a Daniel J. Edelman Institute during the summer to train people, but I'm also very interested in mental health. My mother was a very courageous woman. She had bipolar illness was diagnosed in the late 70s, early 80s. And, she really worked hard at it. She was very outspoken, lobbied in Congress to raise funds for mental health research and mental health parity so that the insurance companies would refund people for mental health treatment. And so she was an outspoken advocate for herself and other sufferers. So I'm very proud of that. And I want to write about it and write about her work.
Absolutely. Our Surgeon General just literally came out with a report and a recommendation regarding our nation's mental health, and especially as it focuses on children. That we as a country need to make that a priority. So I know that that work will be very much appreciated.
Well,
Renee, finally, what's the one thing you'd like the viewer of this video feature to walk away with today?
I'd like people to know that about the importance of women working in business and family business, and work with people you trust and people who believe in you, and find mentors and just be an advocate for yourself. And I'm so happy that I took John Johnson's advice and my father's advice and my mother's, coaching, that I can do it. And so can you.
Renee, it's interesting that you bring up the great mentors that you've had. They were captains of industry, and people admired them from near and from afar. And I'm just so happy that you have taken that mantle of trust and are passing it along as if it is a baton to the next generation. So thank you so very much.
Oh, well, thank you. And it's been such a joy to meet you, and I will continue to follow your career, and hopefully we'll be able to work together on American Heart Association.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless.